Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Voices for Change 2.0, the mental health podcast that's changing the discussion one voice at a time, featuring guests that will help end the stigma and keep talking mental health. And now, here are your hosts, Rebecca and Joe Lombardo.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Voices for Change 2.0.
Hello! That's about it. That's all I got.
That's
I'm tapped out. Welcome to Voices for Change 2.0. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being with us today. We are grateful, as always, for you taking time out of your busy schedule to listen to our humble show.
Well, our schedules may not be as busy as ordinarily they might be.
And you know why, don't you? Coronavirus! That would be why. For the whatever the hell day it is in the year of our Lord 2020, hope you guys are staying healthy and happy, but mainly healthy.
Yeah.
We actually had a bit of a scare last weekend, which is why there wasn't a show. I thought I had it.
And I thought I had it too because he had it.
Yep. And so went and got tested and came back negative. Thank the maker. So I had something. It wasn't coronavirus, but it was definitely something. And it doesn't surprise me because my entire life, this time of year, beginning of spring, so March, April, around there, I have always gotten some kind of respiratory infection. And that's how I was feeling last week, and just difficulty breathing and really, really tired. Yeah, I'm tired now.
Yeah.
This is professional, is what we call it.
I love that.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry if I'm yawning in your ear. Just means that I'm very comfortable with you. So
that's what that means. Huh?
That's what that means. Yes, I'm comfortable. Our listeners are family, so we love them.
That's a stretch.
What? They are family. Our listeners.
Not that they're not family, but it's a stretch for that being your reasoning to be able to yawn during the show.
Well, it just means I'm really comfortable with them.
Okay.
I love them all. Yes,
dear.
So, anyway,
what's new for us right now?
That we're relatively healthy-ish.
Mm-hmm.
as relatively healthy-ish as you can be when you're in your late 40s.
Yeah, really.
But, otherwise, just getting in different movies and stuff. If you're a horror movie aficionado, which I am not, but I am fascinated by the movie-making process, we recently signed up for a channel on Amazon Prime called Shudder, which is primarily horror movies. But the reason we did that is because they have this kind of a, I guess, documentary series, is what you call it, called Cursed Films. And it's really interesting. They take, there's 5 episodes so far, and they take different horror movie and they explain different behind-the-scenes stuff with it, but it leans more towards whether or not the movie, while it was being made, was cursed. One
of the movies that they do is The Crow, which is, in my top 5. It's one of my all-time most favorite movies, and, it's got a special place in my heart, for the fact that we lost Brandon Lee during the filming of that movie.
Yeah.
And they talk a lot about that. And, whether the Lee family curse was the reason that he passed away during the making of the film. And
yeah, it was real interesting. They actually explain how it was that, because for those of you that don't know, that have never seen the movie, when he died on set, he died because of a gunshot. And I know everybody says, well, you're supposed to have blanks and all this different thing, and they actually explain how it would have happened that he'd been shot by a real bullet.
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't, an assassination attempt or anything. It was just
technical error.
Yeah, technical error. Somebody dropped the ball in the prop department with.
Well, don't tell them too much.
Well,
I want to actually watch the show.
Well, yeah, that's true. I won't say how they dropped the ball, but yeah, it's a really interesting show. They do that movie. They do The Exorcist. They do Poltergeist.
Another favorite of mine.
Yep. The Omen, and Twilight Zone the movie, which I'm real curious about because that was another movie that was just hampered with mistakes and whatnot, and culminated in somebody dying on set. So we're off to a rousing start today with the show.
Yeah,
aren't we?
Lots of fun.
So anyway, if you're interested in that kind of thing, check it out. I don't have a classy segue this time.
That's all right. I'll forgive you.
Thank you. I hope our guest forgives us.
No, I'm sure she will.
Oh, there it is. There's the segue.
Oh.
No, I did it.
Yeah.
I did it. Yay. Okay. Yay me.
Well, go ahead. You segued into it. Why don't you take the ball and run?
I stepped on it. I stepped in it. Now it's my turn to track it through the house and on the carpet. Okay, good.
Without any further falderall.
Yep. Today's guest comes to us from Northern Wales in the United Kingdom. She's a freelance writer, an author, and a blogger. She has a passion for bringing awareness to mental health issues, especially depression. She's a new friend to the show, and we're just ecstatic to have her. We're so happy she's taken the time out of her day to be with us. And please welcome to the show, Ms. Natalie Roberts.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Sorry about the lack of audience cheer.
It's okay. I cheer for myself.
Maybe we need to get Scott a little track that he can play.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have to start doing that. Get like an audience track on this show, and so people come on and it's like, and a laugh track would be awesome for my terrible jokes.
Yeah, then he'd have to pay attention, and I don't think he's really up for that.
Oh, well. How you doing, Natalie?
I'm okay, yeah.
Good. That's good.
Feeling good? Everybody's healthy around you?
Yeah, everyone's up to now healthy. Hopefully stays that way.
Yeah, no, you guys are going through it just like we are.
Yeah.
So I actually have a question about that later in the show, too.
Okay.
So, but speaking of questions, do you have any questions for us?
Not at the minute, no.
Okay. Well, if you do, if you think of anything, just say, hey.
Okay.
I want to ask you something.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, without any further falderall, as my wife likes to say.
Thank you, Bill Corbett.
We're going to go ahead and commence with the grilling. How's that sound?
Okay.
Okay. So we generally like to start the show off with, we have a standard first question. Yeah. We found that it's a good establishing point and, gives everybody a chance to kind of get where you're coming from. So our question is, where does your mental health journey begin?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's why we ask.
Probably as a teenager. It's hard to pinpoint really. When I was a teenager, I went through a stage of where my mum couldn't get me to go to school, and I didn't really know why, because nothing was going on in school. There wasn't any bullying, and I didn't hate school, but I just got into my mind that I didn't want to go. So she took me to the doctor, and then basically he just sat there and said to me, you know you have to go to school, don't you? And I kind of always like to push against people, so I'd be like, no, I don't have to go to school. And luckily at that time, I went to a private school. So now, if in the UK, if you can't get your child to go to school, you can be prosecuted. But luckily at that time it wasn't. So I ended up just doing a bit of homeschooling, like we're all having to do at the minute. But I think that was the start of it. I don't know what triggered it off, but I think that was when I started with depression issues. I didn't have the happiest childhood. It wasn't a happy house. So I think that probably contributed to it. And then when you add hormones and everything else, I think that's what started off, and it got a lot worse when I had my first child. So I think it's been about 20 years now. Some form of depression. Sometimes sometimes it's better than others. And I know I've had years where I've felt like I was okay, and then all of a sudden it just seems to come back for no sort of reason that I can pinpoint anyway. So a long time now.
Yeah. Were you ever diagnosed specifically with something?
Not as a teenager. When I had my third child, that's when I finally went to the doctor as an adult, off my own back. It was my choice. I wasn't forced by my mum. And then they said that they thought it was depression, so they prescribed antidepressants, which didn't really work for me. I never really got the right combination. And then I started to feel better. So I find other things other than medication help me more, although anybody who needs medication needs to take the medication because it's important. But everybody's different with what they respond to. So I think, it's trial and error, isn't it, at the start to what's going to help you the most.
Yeah.
I'm not, hugely convinced it is just depression, but nobody has ever said anything else other than depression. But I come under the signs and symptoms of depression, but they could also be signs and symptoms for other things as well. So it's difficult.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's always a like you said, trial and error when you're first trying to get the thing sorted out.
Trial and error for me still to this day, and I was diagnosed at 19, and the hell I just turned 47.
47, my love.
Yeah.
So it feels like, eons, and I'm still talking to my doctor and saying, hey, such and such doesn't feel like it's working as well. Can we go up with that, or should we get rid of it, or whatever? So
and it's funny that you mentioned the going back to high school, and just having this compulsion to not want to go. Beck actually went through a similar thing, and she would describe it as having a stomach ache.
I had a headache and a stomach ache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was from anxiety.
Yeah.
From not wanting to go. And it was so pervasive. Oh my God.
With me as well is I don't like being around a lot of people. And obviously there's lots of people in school, isn't there? And I think, like I said, with hormones and everything, I think it was just got a bit too much for me, but there was never anything I could pinpoint to why I didn't want to go. I just knew I didn't want to. And I wasn't being awkward either. I wasn't, having a tantrum or, just being awkward for the sake of it. I literally physically didn't want to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're having a physical reaction to what you're and that's, and that happens. Beck and I both battle depression. Mine isn't as severe as hers, but I've got days now where I'll wake up and just the thought of going to work is, it's physically overwhelming, and I have to really push myself through to be able to do it. I think there's a lot of people that go through that, and it goes beyond the so-called Sunday night dread that most people have. I've had mornings where it's taking me forever just to even get out of bed and find the wherewithal to do it. And then I do. And then I'm eager to get home.
Yeah.
You know. So, but yeah, it's insidious, and it's a pervasive kind of thing. Trying to navigate through it all, and trying to navigate, your meds that you're going to take, and you mentioned, finding other things that also help you, and you also mentioned the up and down, like it comes and goes, and it does.
Yeah.
That's the thing with this whole, especially the whole bipolar business is you have stretches where you feel great, and then you have stretches that you feel awful. I know Beck, she can actually feel it coming on.
Yeah, that's one thing I can say after so many years is that now I feel it physically when it's going to hit me, and I can't say that that's something that I practiced for and have a skill that I've acquired. I don't think that that's the case. I think it just happens like that for me. But, it in a way it's a blessing because then I can sort of batten down the hatches and let everybody know, whoa, this is coming.
Yeah. It's funny you should say that because yesterday I felt absolutely awful. I said to my partner that you just need to leave me alone today because I know that I don't feel right. I said, I don't know exactly what's wrong, but I know I don't feel right and I just need to be left alone. So I could feel that something was happening to me. And I said to him, if you just leave me till tomorrow, I'll probably be all right. And I woke up this morning and I felt absolutely fine. So I think you do learn. We'll learn when it's coming after, because you've had it for so long.
Right.
Yeah, and that's, Beck does the same thing with me. She'll give me a heads up. She'll say, hey, I'm not feeling, I feel it coming on or what have you. And, the important thing is being able to articulate to your partner, hey, this isn't anything that you've done or are doing. It's just me and my brain. I'm just giving you a heads up because I know when we were early in our marriage, I would take on some of it because I thought it was something I was doing or not doing, and after a lot of communication, we finally figured out, Beck giving me a heads up makes me feel, I don't want to say better about the situation, but then it's a situation where I can go, well, is there anything I can do to help?
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. I know it's a big help for her is, hey, I know you're feeling terrible. What can I do? Is there a way I can make it easier for you? So, the end.
So when did you first realize that you wanted to be a writer?
Probably again when I was a teenager. My nan used to write. She'd write for women's magazines, stories, things like that, and I would read what she was doing, and then I kind of thought, oh, I'll have a go. But I've always been drawn to non-fiction. I find fiction hard to write, and I started writing magazine articles, and I thought, oh, I'll give it a go and pitch it to a magazine, see what happens, and it got accepted. So I just carried on from there, really. It was only recently, in the past 2 or 3 years, that I decided to write books rather than articles.
Okay.
Well, that's really cool, And
I found writing therapeutic, and that's what I use when I'm having a bad day. I will write something. Usually I will journal, or I'll write an article or something. It's a distraction, something to focus on other than how I'm feeling.
That's really good too, because I think some people underestimate the power of just being able to purge your thoughts onto the written page.
Yeah.
you know, you walk around all day with these thoughts and these feelings, and you know, I know because Beck and I both do this, where you just sit there and beat yourself up over things you did or things you didn't do, and you know, being able to get those thoughts out, it's real important, you know. Some people do, you know, go to therapy for it. Some people are talking to a therapist or whatever for it, but some people that doesn't work for, and if they can write it down instead, then so much the better.
Yeah.
You know, please talk to us about both of your books. What are the titles and where can they be purchased?
Okay. The first one is called Write Through Depression. So it's about different forms of writing and how to use it to help with depression. And it's got other things in there as well, other forms of therapy, such as music, art, but it is specifically about writing, so poetry, creative writing, letter writing, things like that. And it's a workbook as well, so there's a couple of chapters about there's a chapter about my life and what I think caused me to have depression. So it talks about childhood, and it talks about when I was a teenager and not going to school and things like that. And then there's a chapter about where you write about yourself, so your story. So trying to dig into what you think could have contributed to depression. And you can actually write in the workbook if you have the paperback edition. And then the other one is called Journal Through Depression. It's specifically about journaling. I cover journaling briefly in the first book, but the second book goes more in depth into the different types of journals you can use and how that can help with depression as well. And they're on Amazon at the moment.
Very cool. Yeah, that helps too, because I know there are folks such as myself that, you know, if I were to sit down and say, okay, I want to start doing this, I would have no idea where to begin, you know. So being able to have those resources as a jumping off point, that's invaluable. I
have people come to me all the time and ask me, how do I get this started? You know, how did you get started and what have you? So I will definitely start keeping your books in mind. You know, when somebody comes to me with that question, I'll just direct them towards your books, because it's hard for me to answer. You know, it's hard for me to come up with, you know, how I got started and, you know, what motivated me and everything. I can tell the story, but I don't necessarily know that helps that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, some people, when they start writing, you know, boom, they're Shakespeare, and other people when they start writing are like, Icon does words good.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. That's me too, you know. It's like, you know, writing is really therapeutic, you know. Years past, you know, and I don't know if you're aware of this, Natalie, but you know, I'm a musician, and I've been playing guitar for over 30 years, and I've been in various bands, and writing music for me has always been a therapeutic thing. But lyric writing in particular, I'm not the strongest lyricist, but when I have something I feel particularly strongly about, or, you know, just the inspiration hits you out of nowhere, and boom, you've written, you know, lyrics that are meaningful, at least to you. And that's the big thing is having something. That's the thing too, is having something that's meaningful to you. If it's meaningful to you, people are going to recognize that, and they're going to appreciate it, regardless of if it's lyrics or poetry or, you know, anything, you know, textbook, you know, versus people trying to write stuff to please the masses, you know. Not everybody liked Led Zeppelin, and that's what the Bee Gees were for.
Yeah.
So
I do say in the book as well, you don't have to write for it to be read by anybody. You can just do it for yourself, and you don't have to be a good writer. You don't have to be good at spelling, punctuation, grammar, or anything like that. It's literally just about emptying your mind of the things you're going over every day. And you could, even if you like write letters or poetry, anything, song lyrics, nobody has to read them. They're just for you, and if you want people to read them, that's fine. But that's where with the book, it's for anybody. It's not specifically aimed at writers, because I get that question a lot of, is this book going to be for me because I'm not a writer? It's not about the ins and outs of writing or the processes or anything like that. It's literally about just getting rid of what's in your mind.
Yeah, and that's important, you know, and it's great that you have that resource out there for people, you know.
Yeah.
Again, it's, you know, because it's really intimidating, you know. They always say that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, but that one step can be terrifying.
Yeah.
So, you know, being able to have this resource where you can go, okay, this is a good place for me to start, you know, that's awesome. Really. So great job. Great job on that. How important do you think writing is for a person's mental health?
Well, I'm obviously going to say very important, aren't I? I think it is. Obviously, there's other forms of therapy to use, you know, talking, and I don't like talking to people. I'm introverted. I also don't want to upset anybody with what I'm saying. So I use the writing to get my feelings out without upsetting anybody, because some of the things that I think about, I wouldn't ever want to tell my family because I wouldn't want to upset them like that, or I don't want to think that would upset them. It probably wouldn't, and they probably do want to hear what I'm going through. But in my mind, I don't want to tell them because I don't want to upset them. But if I can write it down, then I've got it out of my mind, and it's helping me. And I mean, you don't even have to write loads, even just like a sentence a day, or when you wake up, just write what you're thinking. You don't even have to write about your thoughts and feelings or anything like that. It could just be literally the first things you're thinking about when you wake up, so then your mind's clear to start the day. It doesn't necessarily have to be about how bad you're feeling. You can write about how good you're feeling as well.
No.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's something that people forget about too, is, you know, because with depression especially, it's, you know, it's there, it's in your face, you feel terrible, you feel physically and emotionally and mentally drained and everything. But there are those days where you feel really good, and there's nothing.
There are?
Yes, dear, there are. They might be few and far between, but they do happen. And being able to embrace those days as well and say, you know what, I feel okay today.
Yeah.
And being able to write that down is, you know, people shouldn't underestimate that, because that can be powerful, because then you have a record of it, and when you're not feeling as good, you can go back to that you wrote down and say, oh, okay, last Thursday I actually felt pretty okay.
Yeah.
You know, so this isn't a permanent feeling. It's gonna pass, you know. Yeah. So
I'm just kidding too. I know that there are okay days. I even have a chapter in my book called The Okay Days. So I know that they do come. They're just at this stage in my life are a little bit more fewer and far between than I care to admit.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a bummer. But
that's okay. That's okay. You got a sexy husband, so that makes it all better.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's hard to be humble. That said, we're going to go ahead and take our break. sit tight there, Natalie, and everybody else. You'll be listening to "I Just Want You to Be Happy" by Brandon Stansel. We'll see you guys on the other side of this.
It was hard to come home to see the closet half empty. An old denim jacket was all that you left me. Pictures are gone, just a nail on the wall. It's like you never lived here at all. I go out with my friends, people ask how I'm doing, but my heart's not quite done. I try not to lose it. I run to the bathroom so they don't see me cry. The truth is that I'm not alright. I tried to write you a letter, say all the things I needed to say. Thought I would feel a little better, but at the end of the day, my broken heart wants to hate you, but all I keep coming back to is even though you really hurt me, I just want you to be happy. And letting you go, that's when I knew I must have really loved you. 'Cause even if it don't involve me, I still want you to be happy. I can honestly say it was good till it wasn't. Thought I'd see you this weekend, didn't see this coming. You're working through something, but you said that you'd try. So concerned that you'd hurt me, it hurt more that you lied. I kept a shirt and a sweater, this close to throwing them all away. Thought I would feel a little better, but at the end of the day, my broken heart wants to hate you, but all I keep coming back to is even though you really hurt me, I just want you to be happy. And letting you go, that's when I knew I must have really loved you. 'Cause even if it don't involve me, I still want you to be happy. And if you're anything like me, time can kill the memories, but don't forget we used to be so good. It's not with finding someone new if he don't love you like I do. Please remember that for me if you could. My broken heart wants to hate you, but all I keep coming back to is even though you really hurt me, I just want you to be happy. And letting you go, that's when I knew I must have really loved you. 'Cause even if it don't involve me, I still want you to be happy. I still want you to be happy. I just want you to be happy.
Hey, welcome back to Voices for Change 2.0. We just want you to be happy as well. I'm Joe. The beautiful, wonderful, lovely lady sitting next to me is Rebecca, as she shakes her head. And on the line, we have the lovely and talented Ms. Natalie Roberts.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Still here.
Still here.
Yay! And we are happy that you are. So,
because that would have been awkward.
Yeah,
It would.
yeah, that would have been strange. It would have been like, hello, and then just crickets. So, yeah. So, getting back to the grilling. Oh, before I get started, now that we've got some time in on the show, do you have any questions for us?
Not so far, no.
Okay. Well, if you do, just say, hey.
I will.
I have a question for you.
Okay, so we will get back into it here.
Yeah, holding our breaths as we do.
What advice do you have for anyone that's looking to start helping their recovery with writing?
Get a notebook and literally just start writing whatever is in your head. It doesn't have to be anything specific. You don't need any fancy notebook. It could just be paper, just a piece of paper, or you can use your computer. Anything, just write anything.
Okay.
I mean, that's solid piece of advice.
Yeah.
Once you start writing what just comes to you straight away, then you might see some sort of pattern emerge to what you are writing. When you try and write something specific straight away, it's hard to look at a blank page and start. If you've got in your head that it doesn't need to be anything in particular, then it might be easier to start writing.
Definitely. That's definitely a better way to go, because when you put those expectations on yourself, that this has got to be, Pulitzer Prize winning, then it turns out to be gibberish. You really, really get down on yourself. So it's definitely good practice to just, and I can recall times in my writing career where it was literally just words. I would write just whatever words came to my mind, and then once those words started forming, then sentences started forming, and that would spark something in my brain that made me able to write a paragraph, and maybe that's all I wrote. But it was a start, and I could come back to it and maybe
expound on it.
Yeah.
That's and that's kind of my approach with lyric writing too. Is sometimes I'll get a flash of inspiration, and I'm writing the whole thing all at once, blam, and it's almost like verbal diarrhea. Just bleh. But other times you'll get just an idea, and you jot down just the idea so you don't forget it. And, maybe you come back to it a couple days later, and then, boom, you've got more that you're expounding on because you've had a chance for it to marinate in your brain juices.
Yeah, it's a bit like a brain dump or a mind map type thing.
Exactly. We're just getting gooey on this show. So, Natalie, what are some mental health books that have inspired you in the past?
Have you heard of Matt Haig? He's got Reasons to Stay Alive. That was a good book for me. I read that about 2 years ago, before I'd even thought about writing a book myself. He's got another one out, I think it was out last year, Notes on a Nervous Planet. That's a good one as well. I know Ruby Wax, she writes some good mental health books. I haven't got one in particular that I go to. One that, it's not mental health, but I found it really good for sparking creativity. It's called The Courage to be Creative by Doreen Virtue. And when I was reading that, she just covers how, just don't worry about what people think of your writing, just write, just do it for yourself. And if you do it for yourself, then you'll find an audience. If you want to be a writer, professionally, that is, you'll find an audience. But that just helped me to, just in general, to write, to get the courage to write in the first place. But yeah, Matt Haig, he is usually my go-to for mental health books.
That's very cool.
Are you still blogging at all?
Not really. I did have one of my own, but I just don't get enough time to regularly update. So I just stick to writing books now, basically. That's all I really get the time to do.
It's, and that's perfectly fine too. That's something that I know Bex had a hard time with in the past, with trying to stay consistent on it. But and then she'll beat herself up for it, and it's like, well, no, you write when you need to, and it's nothing to feel bad about. It just is, and that's kind of my outlook on it as well. I think a lot of times when people start blogging, especially if it's mental health related, they're getting it out. They're getting the junk out of their head. They're getting everything out that they need to do. It's like a purge. Yeah. And eventually you've gotten that stuff out. So then, it slows down or it's not as frequent, and that's fine, because at that point you've achieved your audience, and when you do write something new, they're going to go and they're going to see it.
Yeah.
Because they're now invested in you and what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. So, is it my turn?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was your turn.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, Natalie, what are some tools or techniques you would recommend to help someone get control of their depression?
Well, obviously writing. You need to ask for help at some point, because you can't do it by yourself. I know for a lot of years I just kept putting off asking for help, because I thought it was a sign of weakness and that I should be able to control it myself. But you have to realize that you can't control a mental illness. It doesn't need to control you, but you can't control it just by yourself without any sort of help whatsoever. So, talking to somebody, even if it's just the doctor to start with, because they can refer you to services and help you in different ways. A lot of people get put off because they think they're going to have to take medication, and that's not always the case, depending on what your what type of mental illness it is. This is for me. I said before that medication didn't work, so that's why I use other tools. But for my partner, medication works for him. So everybody's different to what things are going to work for you, and you do have to just try. Over in the UK now, they've got something called social prescribing. So when you go to your doctor, they're not just going to automatically give you medication. They can refer you to things like gardening therapy. They can prescribe exercise. So if you can't afford a gym membership, then they can prescribe that to you, so you can get that for free over in the UK. Because obviously we've got different healthcare in the UK than we do in the US. We get free healthcare.
Yeah, you do.
We do. The amount of people that complain about it, though, is ridiculous. Because there's quite large waiting times, people moan about it all the time, and I think you're getting it for free. You just need to be grateful.
Yeah, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, just like with mental health, it's free. The services that are provided are free. So, it's something to be grateful for, not something to be moaning about.
Let them.
Yeah.
As I say, let them come over here and see how it is, and
exactly. Yeah.
It's we've got people going bankrupt over medical bills and stuff, so that just
I know.
Frustrating.
So just basically the first thing I would say is just go and ask for some help, and then they can give you the referrals and the tools and maybe the medication that you need, and then try some self-help things, writing, listening to music. I know that listening to music really helps me when I don't feel right, as well as writing. Yeah, you have to come at it from lots of different angles, and then something's going to stick at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one thing, is don't give up. If you try one thing and it doesn't really do it for you, there's literally a world of options out there. I would be remiss if I didn't ask how you and your partner interact with the mental health thing. Like, is he supportive of you, or are you supportive of him? You guys, it sounds like you are. Just kind of hoping to elaborate a little.
Yeah, we do support each other. It's really difficult when you both have got depression, and he has anxiety as well. So, you know, just like going out to the supermarket, because he's the one who has to go to the supermarket at the minute, and he's finding that really difficult because of being around people. He doesn't like that either, and it's difficult when you've both got issues going on, because it's hard to support somebody when you're going through something yourself as well. And sometimes, even though you're going through it too, it can be difficult to understand the other person, because he goes through it differently to how I do, and he manages it differently to how I do.
Right.
Mine comes out as I want to be left by myself. Little things annoy me. With him, he wants to be around me all the time, or he'll get really tired and he'll just fall asleep. But we've got 3 kids in the house as well, so that will annoy me, because then I'm left with the kids. It's a really difficult balance to get along when you've both got some sort of issues. But obviously we know we've got these issues, so you have to try and work together. But I would never say that it's, oh yeah, we're so understanding of each other, it's fine, because it's not always fine.
Yeah, it can be a fine line to walk at times.
Yeah, because I've noticed where I'm doing badly for a more extended period of time.
Yeah.
I'll notice that Joe starts to go into symptoms, and it's at the same time as I am in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because I want to be better to help him.
Yeah.
But I'm still stuck in it myself. So it's hard for me to, sometimes I get aggravated and agitated too, and, don't really know what to do about the situation, because I'm already in the middle of it, and I can't find my way out. So how am I going to help him find his way out?
Yeah. And the converse for me is, if I know I'm going through some stuff, sometimes I'll try and hide it, because I know she's going through some stuff, and I don't want to burden her with what I'm going through on top of, which I know isn't exactly healthy, but I'm trying to be the rock and trying to be supportive for her, and it's tough. Sometimes it's tough navigating these things,
Yeah.
So communication is definitely key.
Yeah,
it's even harder at the moment as well, isn't it? Where we all have to be on top of each other because we're not allowed to leave the house. So it's not like you can just go and, well, over here anyway, you can't just go out and just go and have a drive and try and sort out your thoughts. You literally are just stuck with each other at home all the time, and it's something that we were not used to, because he worked full time before he lost his job because of Corona, and I was at home with the kids, but now we're all together in a small house. That just makes things worse as well, or makes it seem like it's worse.
That actually brings me to my next question, which I had mentioned earlier in the show, that I was going to ask something about COVID-19.
Yeah.
Being from the UK, like we discussed, you have nationalized medicine.
Yes.
Does the NHS have any programs to help people cope with their mental health during this pandemic?
Well, not any more than they did before, because they're concentrating on the physical, trying to keep people alive, not get the virus. I know there's been talk about what the effects are going to be on people once the pandemic is over, and what kind of services are going to be needed then. But it's difficult because you can't just go to your doctor now. You can't just pop in, and you can't make an appointment to go and see them. And people who have already got therapy appointments are, having to do it through Skype or on the phone. So the services are still running, but they're just running as well as they were running before, which wasn't amazing because mental health in the UK is very, very underfunded because obviously it's funded by the government rather than privately. You can get private mental health care, but obviously you have to pay for that. So the majority of people go for the free care. But it's not any better. There's not any more services than there was before it.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious about that, if they were doing anything special because of the pandemic.
No.
No, we're not either.
No.
It is, we've got a president recommending shooting up.
I know, yeah. Inject some
bleach. Here, have a Clorox cocktail.
Yeah.
And again, to the rest of the world, all I can say is I am sorry.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But, so what's next for you? New book in the works or anything? What you got going on?
Yeah. At the minute, I'm trying to put together a book full of journal prompts to get. Well, it's called Journal Prompts for Tough Times. Because obviously we're going through a tough time. And then hopefully in September, I'm going to go back to university. I was doing a mental health degree, but I deferred it for a year because I had a baby. And I was hoping to go back in September, but that's all dependent on where we are with the pandemic. It might have to be next year. So hopefully finish my third year and graduate. And then hopefully get a job in mental health somewhere.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah. I wish you all the best with that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you get a wee baby.
I do.
Yeah, three wee babies.
3 wee babies.
Well, I've actually got four kids, but one of them lives with his dad, so
okay.
Be with me.
Aw. Yeah, we got a little rugrat running around here ourselves. It's not ours, but we're aunt and uncle, and she loves us like crazy. So it's pretty cool. So, well, the show's winding down. Natalie, why don't you give us your social media so if any of our listeners want to reach out to you and have any questions or anything like that, they can contact you.
Yeah, I'm mostly over on Instagram. And that's just Natalie Roberts Writer, and occasionally on Facebook, which is the same, Natalie Roberts Writer, and Twitter is a little bit different because I started that before writing, so it's just Natalie Roberts 1. I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter though. It is just Instagram mostly.
Okay, very, very cool.
Okay.
Well, at that we are going to wind things down. We're so grateful to you for taking the time to be on our show with us. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to talk to you, and getting to basically just hear that British accent of yours.
Yeah, lovely British accent.
We love that. We hope our American accents haven't been too annoying for you.
Yeah.
And if you've got anything coming up in the future, like when your next book is ready to go or anything, please, we'd love to have you back.
Sure.
It's been an absolute blast. Stay on the line.
Okay.
Everybody else, you're going to be listening to Brian Justin Crum and Friends with Katy Perry's Rise, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks for having me.
I won't just survive.